Hey there, BookTube. Noah. Everyone who reads and must converses the channel. We are right here. Fall is upon us. We're about 2 weeks out from Halloween. So my girls are gearing up for some Halloween action. A lot of people like to read dark books or darker around this time of year, naturally. And horror is a big deal and this kind of thing. I don't usually read a lot that falls squarely within the horror genre, to tell you the truth, but a lot of what I read is very dark, and some of the most horrific stuff that I've come across, is in books that doesn't necessarily fit in the horror genre. So I figured I would do, like I did last year, a little recommended thing, just pick up some books that definitely get you. They're scary, but might not be on the radar for somebody who is looking for quote unquote horror. And I will also share what I'm going to read for the end of this month, which is right in the pocket as well. The first one that I grabbed up was V for Vendetta by David Lloyd and Alan Moore. This is scary. And if you don't know what V for Vendetta is about, I would say, well, where have you been, right? Because there's been a movie made and all this kind of thing. And so just so you know, just to say something about it, that this is a very dark and scary alternate England that is under an oppressive, like totalitarian regime. The population is completely, crushed by rules and a kind of police state, and it's very dark. But one thing about Alan Moore and how awesome he is at storytelling is there'll be philosophical ideas and big philosophical kind of ideas that he's exploring in his works, but he never pulls completely back from characters and individuals. He shows how individuals deal with the situations that he's presenting. A frightening and powerful tale of the loss of freedom and identity in a chillingly believable totalitarian world. V for Vendetta stands as one of the highest achievements of the comic medium and a defining work for Alan Moore and David Lloyd. This is very, very dark, but a wonderful read, and I grabbed it because I'm actually going to give it a reread. It's been a long time since I read V for Vendetta. The second one that I grabbed up to show is one that I read just earlier this year. This is a debut novel by someone who is very active on Instagram, but also runs a podcast called The Last Sisyphus Podcast. I'll put the Instagram handle in the description box, and that's where you can find a copy of Project Sleepless Dream by C.G. Jones. This book is scary. This book is scary. It is a kind of techno horror, genetic modification, shadow government, just like, government that is fractured, not working together for anything, but actually working against itself in a lot of ways. And the loss of humanity that is explored in here is very, very affecting, and it just hits you that we can't allow that kind of thing. So Project Sleepless Dream, I definitely recommend. I have done a video on this, so I'll just link that in the description box if you want to hear more about that book. I definitely recommend it. One of the coolest kind of scary books, horror, that I've come in contact with is the Hyperion Cantos. 4 books, and this squarely sits within the sci-fi genre on most lists and things like that. It's a great sci-fi series, people will say, but it is horrifying. The Shrike is a very horrifying character that is kind of in the background of the first book. They're going to the place where the Shrike is. He's kind of contained and can't leave a certain area. But in the second book, Fall of Hyperion, they actually get there and the Shrike is completely active and terrifying, and it is all out. I actually love the first two books of this series. I really enjoy and love the second half of the series too, Endymion and Rise of Endymion. But the horror that is in the first two books is palpable. The second two books, which is Endymion and Rise of Endymion, there is a new kind of horror character, few characters. They're called the Nemesis, described in these books, and they make the Shrike look like our friend. It is insane how hardcore, horrifying the Nemesis creatures are. But why? It's because the Nemesis are completely devoid of humanity. They are a computer, technological, calculating thing. They don't have human emotions. They don't have human reflectiveness. It's just this cold, calculating, and they're death dealers. They are completely horrifying. So I recommend it because where Dan Simmons gets to in the Hyperion Cantos is amazing. I mean, it's mind blowing, and I have a lot of content on my channel on the Hyperion Cantos, non-spoiler and spoiler, just full talks. But to talk about a horror that is non-human, one of the craziest, all around craziest and funnest and horrifying. I mean, it'll make you cry. It's so sad and scary and horrifying, the kind of things that the characters go through. Even though it's a full-on fantasy world, this is Perdido Street Station by China Mieville. You're not ready for what China Mieville throws out at you in Perdido Street Station. You are in a very dark, very grimy, and messed up city with all kinds of really weird and crazy characters. There are cactus people, there are hawk people, there are bug people, there are human beings, there are a crazy AI construct is in here, a crazy AI construct, but also like supernatural beings. One of the scariest, and it's not like he's evil. One of the scariest figures in Perdido Street Station is called the Weaver. And it's not scary because he's a bad guy. It's scary because he's non-human. And he doesn't operate in any kind of human way. How he makes decisions, what he weighs in order to make decisions, you just have no bearing for. And the chaos and the erraticness of that just causes it to be very, very unsettling. And there are some very evil characters in Perdido Street Station. Horrific characters. Motley is a kind of a person who is an amalgamation. And just completely horrifying. And the bad guys in Perdido Street Station are actually a predator animal called the slake moths, and they don't have any, speaking. They don't talk. They're just animals, but they are an apex predator, and it is completely horrifying what they can do and what they will do if not stopped to the residents of the city, New Crobazon. So check it out. I do have a review on Perdido Street Station as well. I'll link that in the description box. So there'll be links for most of this stuff in the description box here. the final recommendation before I get to what I'm going to be reading this at the end of this month. The final recommendation is just to go for one of the greats. If you've never read Edgar Allan Poe and you're not a horror person and you just want, Poe took horror to a level of literature for sure. It is really, really enjoyable reads. There's stimulating intellectual explorations all through, but also just the sheer madness of loneliness. He explores madness of just mystery. There's a lot of mystery in Poe that is done very, very well on a very high level. So I definitely recommend going for Poe. If you're not big on horror and you're like, I'm not trying to be, go for some kind of slasher or body horror or anything like that. I just want, some kind of unsettling and scary stuff, but not scary in a way of gross out or something like that. Go for Edgar Allan Poe. You can't go wrong with Poe. That's for sure. Poe did it right. That's why when it comes down to it, we're still reading him hundreds of years down the line, right? So what I'm reading this year for my horror, kind of Halloween dark read is the Posthumous Memoirs of Cubas by Machado de Assis, and it is just what the name suggests. These are memoirs written by a dead person, already dead. So I can't wait to see what he does with this. When it comes down to it, this work is lauded and spoke of very highly. So a great writer, great ideas, things like that. But then, we're getting a very awesome premise as well, right? Be aware that frankness is the prime virtue of a dead man, writes the narrator of the Posthumous Memoirs of Cubas. But while he may be dead, he is surely one of the liveliest characters in fiction, a product of one of the most remarkable imaginations in all of literature. Brazil's greatest novelist of the 19th century, Joaquim Maria Machado de Assis. So I can't wait. There's some humor, by the way that this is talked about. There's some humor, but there's also darkness, and so maybe something like Freddy, right? But we'll see. I'll let you know, BookTube, and thank you very much. Let me know if any of the recommendations you like, you've read, you're going to read, or anything like that, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.